Hey, buds. Welcome to the Fantasy Buds podcast. It's your host, Brian Gold.
Mark Eletrio.
And I'm Tim Stewart.
And if you want to follow us on social media, you can go to the link tree in the description below and follow us on Threads, TikTok, and Instagram. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoy the show.
Yeah. How you boys doing today?
Doing pretty good.
Fantastic.
Doing pretty good.
Well, that's our cue. Welcome back to the Fantasy Buds podcast. You know who we are. Libby, say hi. Come here, good baby girl. Come here. Are you ready for today's episode? Yes, you are. Yes, you are. We are going to talk about our running back rankings. But before we do that, Tim was in the Amazon jungle last week. Why don't you run over your receiver list real quick?
Gotcha. So,
because we forgot to do that as hosts.
That's fine. You're good. Quick rundown. Justin Jefferson's number one. Sky's blue. I do have Tyreek Hill at number two, just because 170 targets compared to, now I get it. All right, Nick, you love Jamar Chase. I understand. But it's Tyreek Hill. 170 targets, even with Jalen Waddle there. It's whatever. I'm taking Tyreek Hill at two. Cooper Kupp, so long as Matt Stafford stays healthy and so long as Cooper Kupp can, not die, he'll be number three easily. I have Jamar Chase at four. This is the shocking one. I have Devontae Smith at five this year. I think that he is going to absolutely explode. I think that teams now understand that A.J. Brown is the predominant target on the Eagles, and I think that he's going to get double, triple covered, and it is going to open up a lot for Devontae Smith this year. I think this is the year he is going to take that next step and be the guy for the Eagles this year.
I don't think that's insane.
I don't think so either.
And
I mean, he was top 10 last year.
So we did think Tim was crazy for saying that last year, and he finished ninth.
Yep.
So,
and then at six, I actually also have A.J. Brown. That's where it gets crazy. I have the Eagles having two top six wide receivers in fantasy this year.
So you think the Eagles offense is just going to be fucking insanity?
I think that it is going to be A.J. Brown is going to be the TD guy. Devontae Smith is going to take over the role of, okay, he's open, I'm throwing it to him.
Keenan Allen position.
Exactly. That's what I think is going to wind up happening. And I think that's why I don't like any Eagles running backs this year, personally, which we'll get into later as we go on, because the Eagles have too many mouths to feed down on offense, if you think about it. A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith are going to command most of the targets. Goddard will be there because it's Dallas Goedert. He's good. He's a top 5 tight end in the league. He's going to get his targets. Jalen Hurts is going to run the ball. It's kind of difficult. But I do think that with having A.J. Brown in his second year, Devontae Smith now being there, I think Nick Sirianni is just going to fucking send it this year throwing the ball. And I think they're going to try to get Jalen Hurts to run it a little bit less. Not a lot more, but a little bit less, and get him throwing the ball more.
Less design runs.
Exactly.
Look,
yeah.
Tim,
He's still going to scramble.
Look, Tim, I just want to say, I think Devontae Smith at 5 is way better than Michael Thomas at 3 last year.
All right, we're going to let that die.
How do I do it?
We're having technical difficulties
We're
here.
having
It's
the
just-
mic is
Well, you see,
The
you
mic
kind
is
of...
sinking
the
down
mic is a
low.
flaccid dick.
Thank you, brother.
It's going flaccid.
Thank you, brother.
Chris saves the day.
Our producer, Chris, everybody. Round of applause.
Everybody clap for Chris. Chris saves the day.
He is the Wizard of
But
Oz.
no, I
literally.
definitely think Devontae Smith is good enough.
Yeah.
Talented enough to do that. I don't think it's the craziest thing in the world. Saying
At-
that 2 top 5, top 10 receivers.
Yeah. I mean, you could interchange because it's 7. I do have Garrett Wilson. So, honestly, from 5 through 7, you can mix and match whatever you want to do. But I do think Devontae Smith is going to stay at 5. I have Garrett Wilson this year. I mean, he was fantastic last year with Zach Wilson. Now he has Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
Like I said, from everything that's coming out from training camp and from preseason that we saw last game, apparently Aaron Rodgers just sees number 17. And I guess he's high off his ass and thinks it's Devontae Adams. So
He just sees
it worked. So
17 down there somewhere.
Hey, from the preseason game we saw, even with Garrett Wilson literally being covered with a man right on top of him, Aaron Rodgers still said fuck it, and Wilson still made the catch. So we'll have to wait and see.
He was pretty high on my list too.
Yeah, exactly. And then at 8, I actually have Devontae Adams. I do think that he's going to snap this year. This is the best wide receiver that Jimmy Garoppolo's ever had. I do not give a shit about Deebo Samuel. Don't care. Devontae Adams has been proven. He did it with Derek Carr. He can pretty much do it with anybody, I'm convinced. So I do think he's going to snap this year. I have him at 8. And then at 9 and 10, I actually have 2 wide receivers from the same team again. I have Keenan Allen at 9, who would be higher, but literally every week it's just Q, 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 Q. And then at 10, I have Mike Williams, who would be higher, but every week it's just Q, 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 Q.
That's zesty.
So, yeah.
Well, honestly, I don't think it's too zesty because I think the Chargers offense is going to be very explosive this year. Yeah. I mean, they were riddled with injuries last year.
They have Dallas's offensive coordinator now from last year, and you saw what Dallas did.
They're going to air it out, so that's absolutely.
I will say, as a Mike Williams owner last year, he was great.
Yeah,
just couldn't stay healthy. It's always been that kind of same theme with Mike Williams.
It's the same thing with Keenan Allen too. If he could just stay healthy, he'd be top 8 every year.
I will admit, if Mike Williams plays 15 games, 14 games, I think he could creep into the top 15.
Yeah,
it's possible. Definitely explosive enough.
Yep.
Does that wrap up your list?
That is my list. I did top 10 only.
Okay.
There's some interesting guys in there. Yeah. Devontae Smith, Mike Williams in there.
I can also see a path for both those guys. And look, we're not going to go off consensus. These are guys that we like. Guys that we're targeting in our drafts and guys that we're going to be going heavy and have a lot of faith in. Same thing with the running backs that we're going to get into today.
I can't wait to talk about.
Should we just run down our lists in a row and then we just discuss?
And then we can kind of have an open discussion about it.
All right, so I'm going to go first, and I'm going to say I got CMC at 1, Austin Eckler at 2, Nick Chubb at 3, Tony Pollard at 4, Derrick Henry at 5, Saquon at 6. With Josh Jacobs now re-signing his deal, I got him at 7 now, and he wasn't on my list before because you just don't know. It's the same case with Jonathan Taylor. He would be on my list, but I'm leaving him off because I don't know what's going to happen with him. So the unknown, I'm just going to leave it there. Alexander Mattison at 8, my fantasy MVP. If you tuned in earlier this season with our MVPs, I got Joe Mixon at 9, Bijan at 10, Ramondre Stevenson at 11, and Travis Etienne at 12. Gentlemen, the floor is yours. Whoever wants to go next.
I also have CMC at 1. I have Eckler at 2. I have Saquon at 3.
Pussy.
I have Tony Pollard 4th. Nick Chubb 5th. Derrick Henry 6th. Bijan Robinson 7th. Josh Jacobs 8th. ETN 9th. Number 10, I actually have James Cook. And then number 11, I have Ramondre Stevenson. 12, Alexander Mattison. And I had to do with 13 because I just couldn't leave this guy off my list. I have Aaron Jones. That's my number 13.
Interesting.
Oh, this is going to be interesting when we get.
You had Stevenson 11th also.
Yeah, I did.
I feel like that's.
I don't think his upside is as high as some of these other guys.
Well, now with the addition of Zeke, I believe Zeke will be goal line inside the 20s.
He'll be a little annoying.
Yeah, but Stevenson did have 87 targets last year, and I think that's going to be very solid for a PPR. Yeah. So we will get into that. Now, T-Bone over here.
So I have Eckler at 1. I have CMC at 2. I have Nick Chubb at 3. Josh Jacobs at 4. 5 is when we get spicy. I actually have Alexander Mattison at 5.
Holy fuck.
Yep. Barkley at 6. Bijan at 7. Derrick Henry at 8. Aaron Jones at 9. And then Tony Pollard at 10. And then I do have Jonathan Taylor at 11. He would be higher, but depending upon what happens with his situation, it's
That's fair. So, yeah, I feel like the top 2 are
solidified.
Yeah. I mean, they have been like the RB1 and 2 the last couple years.
Yeah.
CMC, I mean, he has shown no signs of slowing down. He's going to have a full offseason with the 49ers. They were 4th in offense, 2nd in defense, and they scored the 6th most points in the league. They're going to be leaning on the running game.
Yep.
And Kyle Shanahan will utilize his talents. CMC is aligned in the slot on 52 snaps and out wide on 34 snaps through 11 games. He is going to be targeted. He is going to be in the passing game. He is going to be involved in that offense. He had a 77.6 rushing grade, 92.5 receiving grade with an 88.9 overall from Pro Football Focus. 4.7 yards a carry and 28 10-plus yard explosive runs. He finished as an RB1 in 10 separate games. And when healthy, he's been 11th, 3rd, 1st, 2nd. And I think he got unfairly dubbed injury prone because of 2 seasons. And people were obviously burned and they felt that pain.
People also act like McCaffrey's some kind of old play. He's 26. Yeah. So it's not like this guy's creeping up there or nothing. It's not like you got to worry about this guy getting to that dreaded running back age, 29.
Yeah, he's younger than
he's younger than
Zeke.
Yeah. I mean, he's younger than a lot of. I mean, he's younger than Austin Eckler, if I'm not mistaken. So
he's younger than Derrick Henry.
And I mean, look, it's CMC. This guy, and honestly, Eckler too. These guys are wide receivers who play in the backfield, honestly, and like they are. Just, in my opinion, must-haves, especially like if you're a big running back guy, you like running backs in the first round, one of these guys you have to grab, build your team around these guys. They're usually always on the playoff teams. I always see one of these 2 players on the playoff teams.
And when they're out and they're hurt, that's when those teams sink.
Yeah, so it's a shame, but you can't I hate when I see people say that like, oh, well, McCaffrey's an injury risk.
Like
so is everybody on this list.
So is the running back position.
Yeah,
so
the
is
running back
football.
position in general.
You get hurt in
So
football.
is everybody on this, and it's like football's a fucking violent sport. Obviously, like we don't have to sit up here and say that. So I mean, look, it's just that's us overthinking it. Draft Christian McCaffrey. Don't overthink it.
Yeah, and also it's off of those 2 seasons. Like everybody took him first overall in 2020 and 2021.
They probably got burned.
They got burned, but there's something to be said about the fact 4 out of 6 seasons he played every single game.
He is, to this day, the best player I've had in fantasy. When he's healthy.
Me too. If
the
you had
year
him
I
that
had
year,
him, that year, if you had him, he was averaging 35 to 40 points. Like
I won the championship in one league that year.
He was snapping. Like
He had
it was
1,000 and 1,000.
every game. It was like, well, that's a guaranteed 30. Like it didn't matter.
I don't think I really don't think that 2,000 scrimmage yards is out of the question for him this season.
Especially with a full off season under Kyle.
100%.
Like I don't think it's out of the question at all. And I mean, sometimes I see people draft McCaffrey in the top 2 instead of some of those receivers, and they get looked at funny. But I don't think there's anything wrong with that, to be honest. And Tim, I think you have Eckler at 1. I think that's fine.
The reason I have him at 1 is because last year we said the same thing of, there's no way he gets 20 plus touchdowns again. And then he went out and got 25. So it's like 107 receptions as a running back. Like,
yeah, I was like, well, I'm not gonna take him in the first round again because he had 20 touchdowns and he's gonna have less. He did. He had 18.
Yeah,
that's still fucking amazing.
107 receptions.
He's 123 targets. He's the focal point on a high-flying Chargers offense. He had 123 targets in 2022 and 94 in 2021, and I think it's going to be around that same range. So,
and you got to look at it this way too. Look at how Dallas used Tony Pollard last year in the passing game. The Chargers now have their offensive coordinator from last year.
Yeah.
Which means Eckler might even do more, which is kind of hard to think because he was the
RB2 in 2021 and the RB1 in 2022.
So it's like, but who knows, man? Like the sky's the limit for the 2 of those guys and the offenses that they're in.
The Chargers are getting back Rashawn Slater. They missed him all last year.
That's really a big fucking
and he had a better year than the year previous. So he's going to get back Rashawn Slater. They had the 8th best center in Corey Linsley. Like that's going to be a solid offensive line. He's connected to Justin Herbert, and he finished as an RB1, same as Christian McCaffrey, in 10 separate games. So
it's good to note, too, the past 2 seasons, his rushing yards have increased, not by much, but just a little bit.
He's never had 1,000 yards.
I was about to say, he's never had 1,000 yards.
Like 930?
He had 915 this year, 911 last year. So almost the same. But, I mean, 1,000 yards, he's never had that. And, I mean...
However, he is getting probably around 1,500 total scrimmage yards.
So I think it makes up for it.
I think he's getting like 900 and then like 800, I think. So
the amount of injuries that these Chargers wide receivers have, I mean, to be honest, like Keenan Allen and Mike Williams, one or both of these guys always miss time, and Eckler will honestly step into that number one target role. If these guys, Quentin Johnson has struggled in the preseason and in camp. Also, Josh Palmer hasn't really shown us much yet. Keenan Allen and Mike Williams, I don't want to say I'm banking on them to miss time because that's not, it's not a good argument. But no. I think that, Eckler, whether they're all healthy or not, he is going to eat regardless. The receiving upside, he could finish as the overall RB1 easily. He's been the RB at least fourth or better the 3 of the 4 past years. So, you pretty much know what you're getting with this guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Enough said about that.
Love Austin Eckler.
Why don't we get into Nick Chubb and Tony Pollard? Let's start off with, I feel like these guys are in the... So Nick Chubb, I have him at 3 because I believe he's the best pure runner. Like he's
100%.
He's not like running backs, they factor in the receiving game, just like Austin Eckler. But he's not a crazy great receiving back. Like you're not going to line him out wide and send him down on a real wheel route. But he had a rushing grade of 90.7. He was 3rd in carries, 3rd in yards, 4th in touchdowns with 5 yards a carry. They got no more Kareem Hunt, who had 44 targets last year. He missed some time, and he still had 44 targets. And Nick Chubb had the most targets in his career with 37. So now with Kareem Hunt gone, they didn't add anybody to combat that. Imagine if he gets just half of Kareem Hunt's workload. Like, he had 1,500 yards rushing with only 37 targets. Imagine he gets up to 60 targets. What happens then? He finished as an RB. He had 7 games with 100 yards, and he finished as an RB1 7 times also on a putrid Browns team.
Yep.
And now they have that fucking creep calling the plays. I think they'll have a better season than last year just because he has somewhat talent, but what are your guys' thoughts on that?
He's never had more than 49 targets in a year, never more than 36 catches, but we could say a lot of that is due to Kareem Hunt. He really doesn't have any other competition there. No. His backup is Jerome Ford, who wasn't targeted once his whole rookie season last year. Insanely efficient player, 5.2 career yards per carry average this guy has. So he's never really needed 25 touches.
He's an explosive
to get
runner.
What you need. He can rip off long touchdowns. He can go in on the goal line. He can do everything. Nick Chubb is an insanely talented player. And it's really what holds him back is just a lack of receiving. It really kind of is a shame because I think he probably is the best pure running back in the league.
And every year, I feel like it's the same thing with him where we say, like, imagine if he got more targets. Imagine if it was the same thing with Derrick Henry. And then they started doing it. And it's like, I think he's going to jump up to 50, 60 targets this year while rushing the same way he has been every year of his career. I think he's going to be in the top 3 this year.
Look, at least. If he can even creep into like the 40 reception, right, 50 reception range, he could be the overall RB1.
I believe so.
But I think that's what he would need to do in order to do that. And that's why I had him at number 5, and I had a couple guys ranked ahead of him that I think maybe have a better shot at finishing as the overall RB1. Do you like Nick Chubb, Tim?
I do.
Tim.
Yeah, I'm very high on him. I have him
always
at 3.
seem to like him.
Yeah, I have him at 3. I do think there is a world where he does overtake CMC and he does overtake Austin Eckler, but it is going to come down to the receiving game. Because if the receiving game isn't in play, he's not going to overtake CMC. He's not going to overtake Eckler.
It's not possible.
It's not possible.
In
he would have to
PPR
rush for
impossible.
he would literally have to have like an LT year to where it's like
he would need
1,800
yards
exactly
for him to be like an RB1 if he's not going to have the targets. So like,
and with Austin Eckler,
have 20 touchdowns.
Exactly. With Austin Eckler averaging like 18 plus touchdowns the past 2 years, if he does not get receiving, it's just not going to happen. There's just no way.
Now, this is a running back I think we disagree on the most with Tony Pollard. So my argument for Tony Pollard, I have him at 4 because he was the RB8 last year while splitting with Zeke, and he had 6 RB1 finishes. He had a rushing grade of 88.9 and a receiving of 75.7, 5.2 yards a carry. He had over 1,300 total yards and 12 total touchdowns. And all that the RB8, all these numbers, and he only played 60% once the whole year. 60% of the snaps. He only did that once, and he was an RB. He was a top 10 RB that week when he did. So imagine if he jumps up to 60 to 65% of the snaps on a top 10 offense. I think he's going to be a top 10 again. Top 5 for sure.
1,000 yards rushing while splitting with Zeke. Insanely efficient also.
Insanely efficient.
Since he was drafted in 2019, he's actually, among all running backs, he's third in yards per carry with 5.13. And he's actually first in yak. No, also. So, which is fucking great, obviously, for, I'm going to assume most of the 7 people who watch us play in PPR leagues. Like we do. So,
well, it's so boring if you're in a standard.
Yeah, like, I mean, come on, you're going to do a standard league.
You're just hoping for touchdowns or 100-yard games.
Yeah, like, come on. That's so boring. Give me those PPR points. But yeah, super powered offense. The Cowboys' offense is always fun. They're always good. Explosive player. I mean, his competition. Who is his competition?
They didn't bring anybody in. They got
Malik
Rico
Davis
McDowell or whatever.
Malik Davis,
and
Deuce Vaughn. I don't care about Deuce Vaughn. Like, I really don't. Like, I know he's doing like cool shit in the preseason, and his dad works for the team, and it's a cool. I don't care about
story.
Deuce Vaughn. Like,
he's not going to do anything for fucking fantasy.
He's not going to do anything for fantasy. Tony Pollard. I think Tony Pollard could finish as the RB1. So I think he has the best outside shot to do it. Like, I think he's the name outside of your usual big names that can do it this year.
So, Tim, why do you have him so low?
I have him so low because I don't think he's going to be able to fit the 3-down role. And I also do not trust Brian Stoudemire.
Why?
Just look at what he did last year. He was with the Jags last year, correct?
Brian, that's their offensive coordinator, right?
Yeah.
Fucking.
Pretty sure he was with the Jags last year. And we were all high on ETN. And look at what happened. Even when James Robinson was gone, he still had no idea how to use him.
Yeah, I mean...
And that's why I'm not high on Tony Pollard.
Well, it took him like halfway through the year.
If it was still Allen, absolutely. I'd be all in on Tony Pollard. I'd probably have him top 3.
See, like, to me now, I disagree with this because, like, 3-down roll doesn't mean... Like, he might come down off of third downs. Yeah, that might happen. But there's no running back that's going to get, like we were talking about this last year in one of our episodes, that the running back, the bell cow running backs are long gone. I think the only ones that are really left are maybe Derrick Henry, and he doesn't even get tons of catches.
No.
So I just think at least 60 to 65% of the snaps, he is going to be an RB1, and I think he's got the talent to do it. He's got no competition. He's got the offense. He's got the offensive line.
I mean, basically just was too good to keep off the field. Even with Zeke there.
He literally pushed Zeke out of town.
He was too good to keep off the field. They've kept him around all this time. I mean, he was drafted in 2019. I mean, we don't see teams keep guys around. They obviously believe in this guy. They buy into this guy. And to be honest, I don't think he needs to be a 3-down back to put up RB1 numbers.
That's what I'm saying about the 60% shit.
I think he's efficient enough to where he can put it up. He can put up RB1 numbers and play 55, 60% of the snaps. But to be honest, I think he's going to be forced to play more because he has no competition. Deuce Vaughn and Malik Davis are not going to push him for snaps.
And it's not like he looks small on the field, but he's really not. He's 6 foot and he's 210 pounds. Like, he can get it done. And I believe in Tony Pollard. I've had him on my bench in Dynasty for so long because he was the handcuff to Zeke. And I was just like, if these two separate, I can get 2 RB1s. But apparently with Zeke, it just became too late. The wheels started falling off. But now, Tony Pollard, it's his time in Dallas, and I think he's going to be in the top 5 this year, barring injury.
I definitely agree.
So, who do you guys want to talk about next?
You guys have Saquon 5th, correct?
No, I have him 6th. I got Derrick Henry 5th.
Okay, you have him 6th.
I have Saquon 6th as well.
You guys both have him. So I actually had him 3rd.
Why do you have him so high?
So the reason why I like Saquon so much is because, I mean, last season, top 5 in touches, scrimmage yards, fantasy points. He played the most snaps out of any running back last year. This guy never comes off the field. And look, I'm not worried about injuries. I don't draft worrying about injuries. He never comes off the field. The Giants should have, I think, in my opinion, the best offense this year that they've had in the Brian Dable, Daniel Jones era. I think that Daniel Jones showed some improvement last year. Brian Dable's a good coach. They added Jalen Hyatt through the draft. They now have Darren Waller also to finally, maybe they can finally have some kind of semblance of a passing game. Their offensive line has never been strong. It's only getting better. And now I think this will be the best offense Saquon's been on. And he's on another contract year now. Think about it. This guy played with such a chip on his shoulder last year, and I bought into him last year and believed in him, and he proved everybody wrong. He showed everybody up, and this team still would not pay him. And I really think that the kind of player that he's shown us that he is going to dominate again. He will finish in the top, barring injury, and I don't draft based on injuries, like I said. But, I think the Giants could be a top 10 offense, and I hate saying that because I'm an Eagles fan. I mean, but I could see that happening this season. If Darren Waller, I mean, you know how we love Darren Waller on this show. If he pans out, and if even any other receiver pops up and does anything for the Giants, and Saquon does what he can do, I mean, I really think they could be.
He had 73 targets last year, and he didn't score at all.
So didn't score at all only 10 touchdowns also. And I was a Saquon owner last year. If you were a Saquon owner, he could have had damn near 18 touchdowns, this guy, last year. A lot of his touchdowns were vultured by Daniel Jones on the ground.
Or they stalled out.
And look, some of the explosiveness he had as a rookie is gone. We might never see that again, but he's still a phenomenal player.
Yeah,
this guy.
I think he hit his ceiling his rookie year. He finished as the RB1 overall, but that doesn't mean he can't be in the top 5. He was top 5 last year.
Yeah, but I think the top 5 is a lock as long as the injury doesn't happen. And I'm never going to worry about that.
That's what I am worried about because I think that they're going to attempt to run him into the ground this year.
They might.
I don't think they plan on bringing him back. If they plan on bringing him back, they would have gave him a multi-year deal instead of a 1-year deal.
To be honest,
I think that they plan on running his ass into the ground this year. Do I think he's going to play all 17 games like he did last year? Absolutely the fuck not. No
I can
shot.
agree with that.
But he could still play 14, 15.
That's
which
what
is
I'm
just
saying,
enough.
and that's just
I
enough.
think he missed one game last year. But
one game?
I think he might have missed one game, but still, it doesn't even matter. Look, but like you said, Brian, 14, 15 games.
That's
even
enough.
that's all you really
all you
need.
need.
Mostly what you expect out of a running back nowadays.
I think if you go hero running back strategy, Saquon is my favorite hero running back. If you're picking at the end of the first round, kind of I don't know.
Yeah, he's got the talent around him now to where defenses can't, key in on him and single him out. I think, he was fourth in carries. I don't think that's going to change. And I agree with you, Tim, on that, where they didn't give him a long multi-year deal. So they're going to, it sounds evil, but I think they're going to take advantage of it.
I think that's what it is.
Yeah, they're going to run the wheels off.
They're going to run the wheels off.
And that's why I like him, to be honest. And
yeah.
I know this guy's never going to come off the field. There's no competition behind him.
Yeah.
He barely came off the field last year. So I think it's going to stay that way.
Yeah.
And the thing with Derrick Henry, I feel like he had such a quiet year last year.
Yeah, nobody cares about his 1,500-yard, 13 touchdown season.
He was fucking first in carries, and I feel like nobody talks about that. And I don't think that's going to change because outside of Hopkins, there's no other talent in Tennessee. He was second in yards. He had 1,500 yards. And he was second in touchdowns with 13, and he still had 4.4 yards a carry. I feel like, and he had the most targets of his career.
Yeah, most receptions, most receiving yards, and most targets.
Of his career.
Of his whole career.
And
He finishes the RB4.
Yeah.
Is
that really going to fucking
shit.
change? I think it's even going to go up even more because Treylon Burks is hurt. They got nobody else there.
It's just DeAndre Hopkins. And
I feel like the problem is it's ever since he had that injury to where now people are just like, nope, that's it. Because he's a
they think,
workhorse back.
this is the fucking reality now. The reality is he's had double-digit touchdowns in 5 straight years. Think about that. For a half decade fucking straight, he has had double-digit touchdowns, 1,000 yards. Like it's the same argument with Travis Kelce. It's the same argument with other guys around the league until it falls off. And he didn't show any signs of slowing down, really, in my opinion, until they fall off. Why be scared? Don't draft scared. Don't fucking play fantasy football scared. You got to take your risks. And it's not even to say that Derrick Henry is a fucking risk.
I don't think he's a risk at all.
And it's funny, too, because when you look at the stats, I remember last year when we were talking the first 2 weeks, we were like, oh, Derrick Henry might, he's either done or he's just dealing with a lingering injury.
Yeah.
And it went from 8 points, and just gone. 24, 28, 32, 21, 40. Like, they just
still
snapped right back into it.
They still lack pass catchers. And is it really unrealistic to believe that the receptions could go up even a little more? Like, I mean, like this guy, he had more receptions than Nick Chubb did. He's never finished out of the top 4 the past 4 years.
And the one year that he did, he was hurt.
Yeah, it's been top 4 past 4 seasons every year. And he's in the middle of the second round, the ADP right now.
Yeah.
They're going to run the wheels off him. He's the whole offense. You ever watch videos of Mike Vrabel? Like, he goes into the locker room and he's like, we have Derrick Henry on our team.
Yeah.
And after the game. Like, he's like, the difference between us and other football teams,
we have
fucking Derrick Henry on our team. Like,
he's probably the second best pure runner in the league. It's him and Nick Chubb are 1 and 2.
I think he's good enough to where it doesn't matter. People are like, oh, their offense isn't going to be good. I'm sure it'll be better than it was last year. Who did they have last year on their offense?
They didn't have
DeAndre Hopkins.
And they lost AJ Brown.
They lost AJ Brown. It was Treylon Burks. I can't even tell you who else was playing.
Ikeline West, who gives a fuck, whatever.
Nick Westbrook,
Akine, whatever, who cares?
I'm like, who the fuck was playing receiver for them?
Nobody.
And like,
they don't even have tight end. They have nothing.
Yeah, if anything, the offense would probably be the same at the worst. Yeah. And
he's just going to be a sheer volume play. And the fact that he's just falling out of the first round now for like what reason?
Yeah.
I mean,
for who? Bijan now?
Yeah. Like a guy that's never played yet, a snap in the NFL. Like, I'm sorry, but slam the draft button on Derrick Henry. Like,
middle of the second, yeah,
absolutely.
Especially if you go and you take Stephon Diggs or Cooper Kupp in the first round.
Or
Kelsey in the first round. Having those two guys, yeah, they're a bit older, but like I said, until the wheels fall off, fucking run it, drive it.
Don't overthink.
Yeah.
It's Derrick Henry. He's like Wolverine.
This is what we did last year.
Like
we overthought shit.
Yeah,
he's as a running back, he's a low key a Hall of Famer. Just based on
he honestly
that.
could be. I mean,
he could be. If he keeps
really
going,
could.
If he puts together a 6 year of double digit touchdowns and he's got like, come on. And another 1,000-yard season and another Pro Bowl. Like, he's going to be putting himself in the Hall of Fame, especially of this generation.
I'm not going to lie. In this era, the longevity is pretty impressive for Derrick Henry. Like,
now, to be fair, he did sit out a few years, like behind DeMarco Murray, so he has a little bit of a fresher pair of legs.
Yeah, but still, though, like the fact, and it's like he is getting into the point now where this is usually the age now where they start to fall off. But Derrick Henry, he's always been different. Like, this is a generational player.
He's a big fucking man, too. He's a behemoth of a man.
Just a large human. Just a
man amongst boys.
Just ridiculous. He makes NFL players look like little kids, pretty much.
Seriously.
Yeah. Slam Derrick Henry, for sure.
Absolutely.
So how do we feel about Josh Jacobs, though?
I have him at 4.
Okay.
I got him at 7th.
I got some disparity.
Yeah.
So why do you have him so high?
I think because with Jimmy Garoppolo being there, we know he's more of a game manager quarterback. Like I said, Devontae Adams is good at command targets, but other than that, who do they have? Hunter Renfrow? Oh, wow. Like, terrified. Like,
well, they do have
it's Devontae Adams and Hunter. It's Devontae Adams and Josh Jacobs. That's the vulnerability of the offense.
Wow.
Like,
imagine Hunter Renfrow somehow watches this.
Look, he did have 100 receptions before. I'll give it to him, but it's just not.
He's
Devontae Adams went there.
I don't think
done.
that's ever happening.
It's not happening again.
With Hunter Renfrow.
It's the top two players on that offense are Devontae Adams and Josh Jacobs. And to just go off of that, I don't think. Now, granted, they only signed Josh Jacobs to 1 year too, right? 1 year, $12 million.
Yep,
They did.
I
It's
think it's
another
gonna be
one.
same case.
Same thing as Saquon. There it is. They must not want to keep him long
So they're
term.
gonna run the wheels.
So they're
off
going
him.
to run the wheels off him.
And he's going to be playing for his money. We saw what happened last
Yep.
year. He wanted that money. He wanted his contract. He's going to be playing for that. He led the league in rushing yards.
And
he's going to be more motivated than ever because he's been fucking literally disrespected.
Yeah. I don't see him having the year he had last year and then just falling off the face of the planet. I don't see a world where that happens.
Yeah, so he was like the third running back, and he's probably going to finish around.
I'd say probably
5'6".
like 5'6", maybe. And then
I
I
could
just
totally
put him
see
at
that.
4 just because if it is that off chance that he does snap and they do use him more in the receiving game like they say they want to, same with Nick Chubb. We'll see.
Look, I mean, he was the RB3 last year.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it could happen again. I mean, you never know. So, I mean, 340 touches last year, and he averaged 5 yards per carry also. So,
He had 94 missed tackles.
like, I mean,
90.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
this guy is a freak. I'm
And
not
he
going to
had
lie.
2,000 scrimmage yards, and now they're losing Darren Waller, and it's the same argument. They got nobody else there. You want guys in fantasy that are going to be on islands.
This is another guy, also no competition behind him. I mean,
Nothing.
like, what has Zamir White done
Like,
to show
wow.
that at all that
that's
he's
what I'm saying. Like, there's nobody back there.
Some people definitely like if you had an early draft and you grab Jacobs in like the back of the second and the third, you definitely got to steal right now. Like, because now he's back.
Yeah.
And it's the same, like you guys were saying earlier, would say they're going to run the wheels off the bus. They're going to run these guys till they break down. So, I mean, he's going to get all the touches out of the backfield.
I have a couple notes here, and I think it's funny because they're basically the same thing. But it says, since the Raiders want to play hardball, they will run him into the ground. Game manager Jimmy G, they will certainly run the ball. So it's like he could very well have back-to-back rushing titles.
Yeah.
No problem. I mean, he also had 41 explosive runs of 10 plus yards. I remember I was so angry last year against Joe. Again,
Joe.
like I literally
It really is rage inducing sometimes.
I remember so clearly.
50 points from Josh Jacobs.
He had fucking 60. Like out of nobody else on his team had 20 or broke more than fucking 15. And
Okay, I know he's upset.
I lost cuz of just one player.
Fucking Josh Jacobs.
I know there's just some weeks during the fantasy season that haunt you forever. So fuck you, Joe.
No, because Joe's also one of these guys who plays in our league who you guys have that guy in your leagues out there where they always seem to draft the disappointing players
Cam.
and the underwhelming but then it just fucking works out for them.
For what?
I
I draft that motherfucker and he doesn't do anything.
like last year Joe took Jamal Williams.
And
Too.
17
fucking
touchdowns. What the fuck
the RB12 suck my dick, Jamal Williams.
He was like, oh, I thought he was going to be better than Swift.
no, you
fucking
fucking
didn't.
You didn't think
No,
that.
no, he did. He said it before
I
the
know
season
he
started.
said that, but why?
No, he's lying. He just
Fucking
didn't think that.
So yeah, that was Josh Jacobs. So yeah, draft Josh Jacobs now.
Yeah.
He's got his money for this year, and he's going to be playing for more.
especially now that he's signed for this year, 100%.
Yeah, I mean he's playing for a contract again, so I think it's going to be this. He's going to lead the league in rushing again. He's going to be like, NFL, pay
Hello.
me, I'm good.
yeah.
So I have my sweetheart Alexander Mattison.
Oof.
I'm surprised you had him that high.
Yeah, me too.
Okay. So I have him that high because Adam Thielen's gone. That opens up a lot of targets because Adam Thielen did have a lot of targets last year, even with Justin Jefferson being there.
How many did he have?
Let me pull up the exact number. Hang on.
Well,
'Cause I
Tim looks
don't
that
know it
up.
off the
I'll
top of my
throw
head.
into no comp. I feel like I keep saying this, but no competition behind him.
They literally
as
let
well,
go of Dalvin Cook. We talked about this during the fantasy MVP episode. If anybody wants to go back and watch that.
I will say
and
Brian
as we
made a
walk-
very, very strong, literally sounded like an attorney case
they
for
didn't.
Alexander Madison.
Thielen had 70 receptions last year. I'm trying to see how many targets he had. Hang on.
Well, he had to have at least 90 to 100 there. If he had 70 receptions, probably.
Oh, here we go. Hang on. He had 107 targets.
Yeah, gone.
Gone.
And I don't think
Jordan
the rookie
Addison
Jordan Addison
isn't
going to
get that. KJ Osborne, who knows? Maybe he just fucking comes out of nowhere, but I doubt it.
He'll be
And it's
probably
like-
in the same range that he's been.
Like
in
you
his
said,
career.
though, like that opens up so many targets.
Well, it's just the
Who's
situation.
it going to go to? Who else
Exactly.
is there? CJ Ham? Like,
like
Ty
Ty Chandler.
Like-
Well,
like,
they didn't sign Zeke. They didn't sign Kareem Hunt. They didn't sign Leonard Fournette.
that's what I'm
They
saying.
didn't
So they
trade for anybody.
must believe in him.
Like
So-
everybody's so much higher on Ramondre Stevenson, but they brought in Zeke. The Vikings didn't bring in anybody, and I was talking about this in the fantasy MVP episode. Like the Vikings, they were 7th in points scored. They were 5th in offense. They won the division in 2022, and I don't think like Justin Fields and Jordan Love and Jared Goff. Like I think it sounds crazy to say it, but Kirk Cousins is better than all three of those guys, and I think they're going to win that division. And I was talking about their offensive line. It's low key, like in the top 10. Like it's among the best with the Christian Darrisaw. He's the second tackle out of 81. That's what he was graded last year. They had Brian O'Neill, their other tackle. He was 8th. Guard Ezra Cleveland. He was 8th out of 77. And then they had the 11th best center in Garrett Bradbury. Like they have low key, like a top 10 offensive line.
Yeah.
And no competition. I'm projecting them to win the division and win around roughly 10 to 11 games because I don't think they're going to win. I think they outkicked their coverage last year. I don't think they're going to win 13 again, but I don't think 10 or 11 is out of the question.
Yeah.
Especially, I don't think the Bears are going to be that great. I mean, they got to prove it. Same thing with the Packers. What's Jordan Love going to be? So out of all those teams, and the Lions are getting so much hype, and it's like, why? Just because they had a fun season last year, they're just going to be Super Bowl contenders now with Jared Goff? I got to, like I said, I got to see it.
Yeah.
I got to prove it. And with Alexander Madison, he had the numbers. When he plays, he's an RB1 type guy. And I think he's going to get the load. He is going to get the load. He's got the money. He's got everything. So, but I had him at 8th because, I mean, the other guys were, in my opinion, they're more proven than him.
True.
And
that's why I had him 12th.
Yeah. And I'm going to put him, I'm going to walk the walk, and I'm going to put him in the top 10 because I believe in him. Outside of those guys, if I'm punting at running back, and I would have taken him in our draft, the TJ League draft, but I had Justin Jefferson, so I normally don't like taking.
That's what I could have done
running back.
last night in our other draft. I could have taken him. He was there, but I was like, I have Justin Jefferson. I'm
Yeah,
not
and it's
gonna...
like, why would you cap yourself with that? And as soon as I see a team that has both the running back and receiver on the same team, like if it's not quarterback and receiver and tight end, I think it's automatically ugly.
Yeah.
So, but
As I said, why don't we talk about the elephant in the room here?
what's the elephant?
Bijan.
So, like,
Where do you guys have Bijan?
I have him at 7.
I have him right at 10. I don't want to put him higher or lower than that because he is the best prospect in the last 10 years. Yes. He was a top 10 pick at running back. Yes. He has Arthur Smith's run heavy scheme. He had a grade of 95.3 in college in 2022. And he had 1,575 yards and 18 touchdowns in 12 games in college. He had 104 missed tackles. Like, eye-popping numbers, great. But here's the problem. You could have all these things. You could do all these things in college. You could be as great as you want to be. You got to get on the field and prove it to me. And this is one that I'm expecting to be wrong on. But right now, like, haven't seen it. There is no truth in it. Like, it's not like I've seen him play in the NFL and I'm just putting him low just because I feel like it. Like, I need to see it first. I'm not going to put a rookie, especially on the Falcons. They got Desmond Ridder. Arthur Smith is not proven as a coach. How good is that team going to be? They're not even going to, I'm not projecting them to win the division. I'm projecting the Saints to. And I don't know. I think he will finish in the top 10, but I think he's going to be in the 7 to 8 range.
I think he's going to have to, and I think he will do this. I think the first couple weeks are going to be spent him getting those other two guys out of the picture.
Yes.
Just because Atlanta, I'm not putting anything past fucking Atlanta. Last year we watched a 5th round rookie take the offensive load when they had 2 top 10 picks on the offense as well. And a 5th round rookie took the bulk of the cash. So I'm not putting any draft capital stock into the Falcons. I have Bijan 7th, and Tim, you said you do too.
Yeah.
And this would all be considered low, to be honest. You look at I've seen Bijan be number 1.
Some people are taking him as the first running back.
I do have in my notes, though, that if it works out,
I think he could be number one. But
oh, yeah. He could beat Saquon Barkley in 2018.
Yeah.
But
I just don't know with Atlanta.
see, the thing is with Zeke and Barkley, when those guys were in their rookie seasons and they were great, like you were getting them in the 2nd, 3rd round.
Yeah.
Bijan's going in the top 5 in some drafts, or as the first running back taken, and it's like,
And that's the thing, like,
just because, yes, he is the best prospect in 10 years, but like, if you're gonna
It
put
was
your
the
whole
same thing
fucking
with Reggie Bush. Like, he had literally one of the greatest college players ever. Nothing in the NFL, pretty much.
I mean, no,
He was okay.
He was okay, but in terms of like, he was never a bell cow RB1 overall, like fit. Like he never had that. Like he was solid, but and like he was splitting time with Pierre fucking. You remember him?
Pierre Thomas.
Pierre
Pierre Thomas.
I mean,
But no,
look,
yeah.
I was about to say Saquon. Bijan was through 31 games of college football, he was first in missed tackles. And like, I think that missed tackles is, I hear you use that stat a lot, but I think missed tackles is a great stat for running backs just because it shows you, I mean, like how efficient they actually are, like how good at what they're actually, like, are they just good because they're getting 25 touches a game, or are they actually creating space for themselves? Like, does their offensive line make them good? And I mean, first in missed tackles through 31 games. I mean, that's pretty fucking ridiculous. I'm not going to lie.
But
that's the thing. It's in college.
It's in college.
So look, since 2011, 6 running backs all picked in the top 10. They've all finished top 15 and 3 finished in the top 5. Now, I'm not saying Bijan will finish in the top 5, but that's the thing. Like if he was getting drafted in the 2nd round, I would be like I'd be like, you need to get Bijan. Like, but if he finishes as the RB4, great. But if you're taking him as the RB2
or
in
your
draft,
first player on your team, and you're passing on Diggs, you're passing on Kupp, you're passing on Eckler,
Travis Kelce, I've seen get passed
Yeah.
on. Like
you're passing on Derrick Henry and Nick Chubb, and it's like, is he actually going to finish ahead of those guys? Like that's the whole thing. Like yes, he's a man amongst boys in college, but now this is the big leagues. Is he going to do it?
And it does come down to like the Falcons offense, because as much as people don't want to realize it, Cordell Patterson is still there. Tyler Algier is still there, and he had 1,000 yards last year.
Then look, like not to say that like they won't like I think Bijan will play 55 percent, 60% of snaps, but I think
I think he's going to be at 65,
Yeah,
but
I think it'll be just enough with Algier and Patterson to where it's annoying.
Problem is,
if you're a
who
Bijan owner,
knows with Arthur Smith.
you really and that's
Trying
what
to
I'm saying, you
figure
don't
out,
know.
trying to know how this is going to work is like us trying to predict what week Tiny's going to make a trade.
yeah.
We know it's going to happen, we just don't know when.
Like I'm not a proven coach at all, like Brian said. I think most of the time when you have Bijan this year, you're going to be hoping for a big play. A lot of games, and I think you're going to be hoping and he will.
I think you're going to certainly
You'll get
that.
them.
Yeah.
He's probably going to finish, like I said, around top 10.
Yeah.
But that's because we were talking about the receivers last week, and it's like there's so many great receivers to where the 15th receiver is probably good, just as good as like the 11th running back. Like
Yeah.
I feel like running back is so thin anymore that he's going to be up in this range because help me out. I don't even know where the fuck I'm going. I just lost my thoughts.
No, I know I get what you're trying to say. What you're trying to say is where he's going, you could draft a wide receiver that'll finish 11th.
Yes.
Who could get just as many points as he would, and you can get a better player at that pick rather than spending it on him.
Yeah, or just I'd rather. This is my feeling. I think I'm going to be wrong on Bijan, but this is how it is. I'm not going to play. I'm not going to put a player that hasn't played a snap in the top 5. That's all.
To be, I'm just not sold that he's never going to come off the field like people are saying. too. Like, I mean, I see the argument a lot. They're like, oh, he's never going to come off the field. These guys aren't going to play anymore.
Let's fucking see it.
He
And
will
let's
come
see
off
it
the field.
let's see it
because
happen.
They have the two
Like,
other running
let's-
backs. It's not like Barkley when he was there. Like, who was backing him up? Fucking Orleans Darkwa. Like, dude.
Orleans.
Like,
I forgot about him.
yeah, like
I totally
Orleans
did forget.
Darkwa was the one backing him up. Like,
They
now the Falcons do have a top 10 O-line. They were ranked 9th last year.
do, and it's like a top 5 rushing offense. I'm pretty sure.
And that's
also.
why I'm saying. And he does have the explosiveness to where if he gets a hole, he can break off for an 80-yard touchdown. Like, he does have the explosiveness to do
Yes.
that. But is he going to be able to do that? That's the thing. He's a rookie. You don't know.
And also, like, are they going to key in on him? Our
Yeah.
defense is going to focus on him because he could be the focal point of that offense. But like I said, I'm just
Drake
projecting.
London isn't proven. Kyle
not
Pitts
proven.
had a great rookie year, has done nothing since. Like,
Yeah,
That's
they're
been
not
Ritter.
a high scoring team. Like I said, like it's not like he's on the Bills or the
Yeah.
Eagles or even Dallas. Even like if they just decided to say fuck Tony Pollard, we're gonna replace Zeke and we're gonna get a new Zeke. Like, how often are the Falcons going to be scoring? How often are they going to be on the goal line? Like what Mark said earlier, we're going to be banking on Bijan to break off a long run, I think.
now, if he would have, like you just said, if he would have went to Dallas, I think it's entirely plausible for him to go top 5.
I would
100%. He
I'd
honestly
say
could go
for, like-
RB1 and it wouldn't even shock me.
like if he went to the Eagles, I would be like,
I'd take him at
all
3.
over.
Miami.
Yeah. Oh, I would've took him
even,
at 3.
like,
I
one of
would
these
put him so
teams.
much higher.
But I can't do it with Atlanta yet. I got to
Not
see
yet.
it.
I
With
gotta
the
say
hype
it.
he's getting,
I gotta
and the
see it.
position he's in, it's just
With Atlanta,
I'm not so
I feel like we just got to see it.
Gotta
first.
see
gotta
it.
see it. So let's move on. I got Joe Mixon at 9. Do you guys have Joe
He's
Mixon?
not
I was
even
gonna
on
say
my
you
list.
have Joe Mixon pretty high. I don't have him on my list just because I feel like his upside that you kind of know. He's a good floor guy.
He is a good
Joe
floor.
Mixon. Like I feel like he just doesn't really have a lot of upside.
Look, they invested him in him. He's got a 2-year deal. Look, Joe Burrow, top 10 offense, top 10 offensive line. There's no competition. Samaje Perine, he's gone. He's not going to be like taking him off third downs. I think he's just going to be a sheer volume play in fantasy. Joe Mixon, I don't think he's more talented than Bijan Robinson. I think Bijan blows him out of the water in that department. But it's just situation.
Yep.
Like I said, Joe Burrow, the offense. His finishes have been 9th, 11th. He was 49th, but that was an injury year. 3rd and 12th. I think he's going to be somewhere in the sweet spot in the middle.
Yeah.
And the Bengals were 8th in points scored. He also had 75 targets in 2022 and 200 plus carries. I think he's going to be a guy that's going to see 300 plus touches. And they were 7th in offense, and he's surrounded by Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd. Like, he's going to have room to run. So, not a talent play, but a volume play. That's why I have him that high.
You want running backs on good offenses.
That
To be
will
honest,
get the volume.
if I was to put Joe Mixon on here, he'd probably be like 14th or 15th. So like,
Yeah.
I guess like right after some of the guys I have. But just because, like I said, kind of like just not a lot of upside, like just a very good floor play. You know what you're going to get. He might have 1 or 2 blow up games. He usually does throughout the year.
But he
But
just gets 5 touchdowns.
we're just for no reason he'll have 40 points. But I mean, yeah, his only competition is a 5th round rookie and Chase Brown. Like
And that was the thing with Samaje Perine. Like, however you feel about him, he was getting in there on 3rd down. He was getting, the targets. And I think even Joe Mixon having 75 targets, that could certainly jump up to 87. Like, no problem with Samaje Perine going. So I think, barring injury, I think he'll finish within the top 10. Not in the top 5, but around
he'll finish
10,
like
9, 8.
10, 11,
Around that.
9, or around that range.
Which is fair. I think he's done it before, and I think he'll do it again. So on the last 2 guys, I got Ramondre Stevenson, ETN.
So I have ETN 9th. I have Stevenson 11th.
We both have him at 11th.
I think Ramondre Stevenson is he's a name where like on draft day, like if you put him up on the draft board, like you might get a couple chuckles at you, but then nobody's going to be laughing at you when he's the RB9 at the end of the year.
Yeah.
Like last year he was the RB7 and nobody cares. Like I don't see anybody talking about that he did that. A very underrated receiving back also.
87 targets.
69 catches and
Like,
only 1
that's
touchdown. I think that can go up.
I think it's going to be a better offense because fucking they got Matt Patricia out of there. They got Joe Judge out of there. Like that. Ugh.
Look,
that offense was putrid last year.
And it's
for the
only
Patriots.
6 total touchdowns last year. I really think that can go up. And I mean, even if he gets to 10, I mean, like an average quarterback, I don't think he's going to come off the field. I don't think Zeke is going to do that much. I really don't care about Zeke. He's going to go in on the goal line occasionally. But like, I still think even at the goal line, Stevenson still won't always come out of the game.
I think his talent will win out there.
Yes, I think Zeke is done, and I'm not saying that because I don't like Dallas. I think he's done. I think Ramondre will be fine. I think he'll give you a nice floor. The ceiling's maybe not there like it is with some of these other guys, like ETN. That's why I have ETN ahead of him. But Ramondre in the 3rd round, I think he'll be great. I think he'll smash that.
If you go hero receiver, I think he's a solid RB1 to have.
Boring name, but
kind of still in the unknown. Like just based off, last year he kind of came out of nowhere. So like people are just not really familiar with that name.
Where did you guys have Aaron Jones on your list? Or was he not even on there?
I snuck him in at 13 because I had to.
Interesting.
Do you have him on your list?
I have him at 9.
Okay, I actually really like Aaron Jones. I want to hear your argument.
The reason why I
that.
have him at 9 is because Aaron Rodgers is gone. So I do think they're going to run a lot more. He finishes the RB8 last year with 2 total rushing touchdowns. He had 7 total touchdowns. So he only had 5 receiving touchdowns, 2 rushing touchdowns. He still had 1,100 yards rushing. I get that A.J. Dillon's there, but with Aaron Rodgers no longer being the quarterback and Jordan Love being a question mark, I think that this year, he's really going to start snapping and he's going to start getting more touchdowns.
So I think, actually, I kind of disagree with the touchdown part. Because, because in PPR, I think Aaron Jones is going to be solid. If I extended my list, I would probably have him in 13, 14.
Right.
But the thing is, like you said, Aaron Rodgers is gone. Aaron Jones was Aaron Rodgers' guy. Like,
true.
And A.J. Dillon is Matt LaFleur's guy. I think with Daddy out of town, Matt LaFleur is going to have more say over everything. And I think they're going to have more of a 50-50 split. I think PPR Aaron Jones will be solid. I just don't see like a huge uptick in like production.
Right.
Like I think with Aaron Rodgers gone and Jordan Love there, I think they're going to use both backs. And I think with AJ Dillon, I think this is the year he gets more involved. And I think that's going to take more away from Aaron Jones. He'll be solid, but I don't have him as super high, Right.
So I think Aaron Jones is actually pretty sneaky this year. I think he can creep into even the top 8 when it's done, just because look at Green Bay's offense right now. I mean, Jordan Love is not a rookie, but the offense is basically all rookies and second-year players. We're relying on Christian Watson. Like, I mean, people are drafting Christian Watson like he's about to be like
he's Jordy Nelson.
So some target sponge because he had a couple good games last year. Like, and Romeo Dobbs, like a 4th-round rookie, and now like Jaden Reed and like Luke Musgrave. Like, who the fuck is on this offense? Like it's all rookies or sophomores.
Yeah.
Jordan Love has been sitting behind Aaron Rodgers for years. Aaron Jones is the best pass catcher on this offense now. Yeah. He's the best player on this offense now. A.J. Dillon is not as good as Aaron Jones.
No.
If you watched any Green Bay last year, it just sticks out like a sore thumb how much better Aaron Jones is than A.J. Dillon. And I think the talent will win out there. I think they might start out trying to get cute with the 50-50 thing, and then Aaron Jones will kind of force him off the field. Yeah. I think Jordan Love will rely on Aaron Jones a lot for checkdowns, and I think that the Packers will call a lot of plays just designed for him.
He's their best player.
I think they're going to rely on him.
He's their best player on that offense right now.
2 touchdowns rushing, 5 receiving, 7 total. I mean, like, even if it doesn't totally go up, even if it goes up to 5 or 6, like, I mean, like,
I truly think he's going to hit, not to cut you off, I truly think he's going to have like 1,100 yards and 8 rushing touchdowns this year.
Look, like, I'm not going to lie, Aaron Rodgers, the Packers offense at times last year was completely fucking anemic.
Yeah.
Too. And like,
I gotta piss. You guys keep going.
But like with Jordan Love, can it get like? I don't really think like the offense was so mid at times. Like,
it's going to be a lot of dump offs.
I think it's going to be similar. The offense. Like, I don't think it's going to. People think Green Bay's offense is going to be so putrid this year. Like, I think it'll be the same kind of.
Yeah.
And I can see them leaning on Aaron Jones a little more with Jordan Love with the inexperience.
I mean, I do get it. As an Aaron Jones owner, it was frustrating last year because like
He is
didn't get
frustrating at
touchdowns.
times.
Because it's like there's one game where he'll get 9, and then the next week he'll get 36, and then he'll get 5, and then he'll get 40. Like
He is a little frustrating sometimes. Yeah.
But I truly do think I think this year I think he'll be pretty set, especially for where he's going.
Yeah,
like
third,
I mean, in our league, I got him in the
like,
4th round.
The back end of the third,
yeah.
like the 3-4 turn, like average 5 yards per carry last year. Like I don't know. I actually really like Aaron Jones. I have him 13th, but I think when it's all said and done, he could be higher.
Absolutely,
for sure. So,
should we make a bet on this? I think he's going to finish outside the top 15.
You think so?
Think so?
I'm going to bet he finishes inside the top 13 where I have him because I have him 13th.
I'm going to say he finishes in the top 10.
So you both want to go bet on top 10? I'll say outside of that. What do you think of Mark?
I'll bet on the top 10.
Yeah?
Why not?
All right, let's fucking do it.
All right.
We could put a poll up on our
We'll
socials.
throw a poll up afterwards.
And
I wanted to, so I didn't hear you guys, neither one of you guys have James Cook on your list, right?
no. I mean, I love him this year, but just
So it's,
I don't know yet.
This
It's
is the
just
thing.
the looming presence of Damian Harris.
This
And I
is the
know
thing
he's
where-
not that big of a name, but they still paid him.
This is the thing where I'm gonna walk the walk. I just want to talk about him real quick.
Yeah.
He basically, so the Bills for some reason decided they wanted to stick with Devin Singletary for a lot longer than they should have, and Cook kind of forced a 60-40 split from week 13 on last year. He led the league in yards per carry. Now look, he didn't have a lot of carries, but he led the league in yards per carry. One stat that I actually really liked was, according to PFF, he had a 44% breakaway run rate last, which was actually first among every running back in the NFL last year. So this is an explosive player on explosive offense, a team that has not had a 3-down running back since probably LaShawn McCoy, I would say, a few years ago now. And Damian Harris is okay. At the worst, he'll vulture some touchdowns, and that's really my only concern with James Cook. But I mean, look, their offensive coordinator has called him a 3-down back. He basically has been a 3-down back for them throughout all of training camp, throughout the preseason. He's been playing with the first team more than any other running back. He's a great receiver. Yeah. He can run between the tackles. He can put. He's like I said before, he's explosive. I think he's got all the tools, and I really think that I had to put him at 10. I'm really high on him. I see some lists they have him ranked in the 20s. I think that's crazy. I think he's the best value in all drafts right now. He's going in the 6th round, and I think this is a guy who can play.
I think later than that too.
Sometimes later, and I think he could have a 3-down role. Like there's some guys going ahead of him, like J.K. Dobbins and like Najee Harris are like going ahead of him, and like
Najee Harris is going to be simply fucking volume. Yeah, but he's not explosive at all. J.K. Dobbins, I don't get it. He had 4 great games. Like, wow, awesome.
And it's like James Cook, I'd rather take the shot on a young, explosive back.
Yeah.
And this might be a bold prediction, but if this all works out with James Cook and he really ends up not coming off the field, I think he can finish top 5. To be honest, I really do. I think he's good enough to do it. And I think this could be a guy that ends up winning some leagues.
No,
I'll give you that.
I think he can be a league winner, but tough.
I think this is a guy that could end up winning some leagues this year.
I agree with that, but
I don't know, man.
I'm going to get a little spicy. I said I was going to get a little spicy. James Cook is definitely my spiciest one on here. I had to get him on my list.
That's fair.
I know the episode's run a little long here, but I had to talk about James Cook. I wanted to throw him in there.
Of course. And
at the end.
Real quick, I threw Travis Etienne at 12 because it's going to be top 10 offense, I believe. I think they're going to take that offensive jump with Trevor Lawrence. They got weapons. I mean, fucking Doug Peterson came out and said that he wanted to put Travis Etienne. What are we doing? What are we doing?
Chris just started doing this, and then we all started doing it.
We're just fucking weird.
We are.
But Doug
strange
Peterson
people.
came out and he said he wants Travis Etienne to rush for 1,600 yards, which is kind of weird to come out and just
To say that.
But like he fucking said it. He's the head coach, so like that's what he's expecting from him. And if he believes that as a coach, then I'm going to believe that too. And I think Travis Etienne, he was a league winner for me last year.
Yeah.
Started off fucking rough. Don't get me wrong. Like I got some qualms with James Robinson and what he was doing at the beginning of the year, but that Jags are going to be the best team in that division, and they're going to be winning games. They're going to need to lean on Etienne. I'm just imitating our sound guy here, Chris.
I think some goal line might get vultured.
Now he's doing push-ups. We're getting fucking crazy in here.
We're just getting crazy now.
5.1 yards a carry, and he had 43 targets, which could be boosted since there's no more James Robinson, and they started leaning on him towards the end of the year. So
He also only had 5 touchdowns
Only
last
5.
year and no receiving touchdowns.
So he could score more. This could be a top 10 scoring offense.
Yeah,
They're gonna
yeah,
have more opportunities.
I think Tank Bigsby will be involved, but it won't be enough to like bother Etienne's value. Like I think it'll be the same thing as Damian Harris. He'll vulture some goal line, but
I think it's going to be a point where we're like, why do we even worry about this guy?
like I think
Yeah.
very high on Etienne. Also had him 9th.
Pretty solid. I think we touched all the bases today, gentlemen.
Talked about some fun running backs here.
Had some fun, had some laughs, had some disagreements.
Had some spice.
Had some spice in the kitchen here. So I think it's time we wrap it up.
Nope.
Make sure to follow us on our socials and make sure to tune in next week for our final episode of the preseason as we head into week 1 of the 2023 NFL season. It's going to get
It is going to get good.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are out. Thanks for watching.
See you next time.
See you next
See ya.
time.